Sick is a sick roller coaster at Flamingo Land. This is an Intamin 10 Inversion coaster. We have seen this layout elsewhere, most notably with Colossus at Thorpe Park, but Sick does it better than any others. I will explain why in this review. In 1998, Intamin opened Monte Macaia Terra Encantada in Brazil. This coaster tied Dragon Con at Portaventura for the most inversions of any roller coaster in the world with 8. In 2002, the aforementioned Thorpe Park built a nearly identical coaster in Colossus, except this coaster replaced the final helix with 2 additional Heartline rolls. This broke the record for the most inversions of any roller coaster with 10. Colossus would hold this record for over a decade until Alton Towers opened the Smiler in 2013, which inverts riders a whopping 14 times. Intamin copied Colossus exactly in 2006, with the uncreatively named 10 Inversion roller coaster at China's Chimelong Paradise. A few years later, Intamin started offering an updated version of this layout. There were 4 key changes. 1. This coaster's height was increased 10 feet or 3 meters to 108 feet or 33 meters. 2. The chain lift was replaced with a cable lift. This is much faster. You not only climb the lift more quickly, but you have more speed into the later elements as well, especially with that added height. 3. The first drop is significantly steeper, so it now offers some airtime. 4. Most importantly, the ride now features overhead lap bars. These are profiled similarly to the ones on Sandy's Blasting Bronco at Nickelodeon Universe, similar to their newer generation coasters, but a little slimmer, still very comfortable though. This significantly improves rider comfort by eliminating headbanging, and it also enhances the forces, particularly the hang time, because your entire upper body is free to now ragdoll about. Intamin would build 5 of these coasters. These include Crazy Coaster at China's Locajoy theme park, Altair at Italy's Cinecittà World, Lightspeed at Turkey's Wonderland Eurasia, and I know I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, but here we go. Velikolovsky Mesokombinat 2 at Russia's Wonder Island. Then the 5th would be Sick at Flamingo Land. While this was the last one to open in 2022, it was actually the first to be fabricated. You see, the track was originally delivered to Hopi Hari in Brazil back in 2012. Shortly thereafter, the park experienced major financial troubles due to a tragic accident on their drop tower, so the ride sat idle up until 2017. At that point, the coaster was shipped to Movie Animation Park Studios in Malaysia, but once again, it was not assembled. In 2019, Flamingo Land purchased the coaster. It was originally meant to be a 2020 edition. The red track was fully assembled, but it was delayed. Similar to what we saw with the SeaWorld parks that year, the ride wasn't just delayed to 2021, rather, it was delayed all the way until 2022. But the wait was worth it. The coaster now features a sleek gray paint scheme, and it serves as the park's signature attraction. Sick is the first coaster you see upon arrival. The layout runs alongside the parking lot, and it is hard not getting excited seeing the tangled mess of inversions. Then, there's an amazing photo opportunity once inside the park. The iconic quadruple Heartline roll is framed perfectly with an archway bearing the park's name. This particular moment has gone viral, and I can certainly see why. It is mesmerizing, and it doesn't even look real. The ride basically markets itself, but the park also plussed it. There are synchronized fountains on the final turn when the train passes by. Misters were also added to a few spots in the layout. These were unfortunately broken the day I visited, but when these are active, the coaster turns into a pseudo water ride. That's how much mist they pump into the area. Last but not least, the station is basically a rave. It feels like a club with a darkened environment, fancy lighting, and booming music. There also are all sorts of banners strung from the ceiling and murals on the wall. The latter are entirely because of the sponsor. The name Sick isn't just a sick name, but it's the name of a local fashion company. This partnership is why the entrance and exit pass through a clothing shop that exclusively sells sick products. If you want to ride the coaster, you pass through the shop, walk through a turnstile, and navigate a lengthy outdoor queue underneath Velocity. The final part of the queue is entirely indoors alongside the station, so you can soak up that party-like atmosphere. Now, I visited Flamingo Land on an off-peak weekday, so I barely had to wait for anything. The most I ever had to wait for sick was 5 or 10 minutes. Usually, I was on the next train though. If you visit on a busy day, you may have to wait a while for this coaster. That train seats a decent number of guests at least. It holds 24 riders, as there are 6 cars, each with 2 rows of 2. One thing that could help on a busy day is the single rider line. This is the lone ride this park to feature one. I didn't see too many single seats popping up, but it is worth trying to see if there aren't many people there if the standby queue is long. I also could see this coaster being added to the park's VIP Skip the Line pass in future seasons. Just note, this is a restrictive and pricey upcharge. At the end of the queue, the attendant lets just enough people into the station to fill the next train. You are free to select any open row. If the row you want is already occupied, they allow you to wait an extra cycle in the queue. The forces are fairly similar across the train, but I like this coaster best up front. I like that spot for the superior visuals, added sense of speed, and the superior smoothness. Now, as a whole, this coaster is smooth, especially with those lap bars, but the train jackhammers further back in the train on the Cobra Roll and the corkscrews. It honestly feels similar to what happens on the exact same elements on Fahrenheit at Hershey Park. Nothing painful, but it is odd for an otherwise smooth coaster. Once dispatched, you are smoothly and quickly pulled atop the lift. This is not as fast as the cable lift on something like Skyrush, but it certainly beats your average chain lift. At the top, you have a seemingly never-ending view of fields. Then, you have the first drop. You have a decently steep crest, followed by a sharp leftward twist. You get some weak floater in the back. And this is the only airtime of any kind in this coaster. That is not what this ride is about. Then the twist delivers solid laterals. Since it occurs so far down the drop, you have a good head of speed into it. This then transitions into a low leftward turn that offers strong positive Gs. This is a much better start than the original 10 inversion coasters like Colossus. Those rides instead feature a gradual, meek swooping drop devoid of any force. Next is the first inversion, a vertical loop. This has very good Gs, the best on the ride. That is particularly true in front as you are pushed into it, but the back also has good pull in the second half of the element. This is followed by a bunny hill that has 0 airtime. It really is a shame Intamin did not make this sharper for the updated layout. They typically excel in the negative G department. This hill does offer some fun visuals though. The apex ducts underneath the corkscrew, then the pullout dives into an underground tunnel that is typically filled with fog. This leads to a Cobra Roll. The front gets decent Gs into both flips. Meanwhile, the back has nice Gs as they're pulled downwards. But you also have that unfortunate rattle here. The pullout briefly passes through another underground tunnel. Then the train hurtles through back-to-back corkscrews. These are swift and offer great snap. You rotate so quickly that you also get some laterals. Next is a mellow leftward turn. This has no force. It merely turns you around for the finale. But what a finale this coaster features. The train navigates 4 consecutive Heartline rolls. These offer excellent hang time. You'll feel your whole body supported by the restraint. Then, your body will shift side to side with each flip. The repeated nature makes it ultra dizzying, and it is a downright crazy maneuver. I know some find this sequence too repetitive, and I get that, but I'm the kind of person who doesn't mind spamming the same element over and over as long as it's great, and for me, those rolls are. I also know some find the hang time a bit uncomfortable due to the lap bars being thinner than Intamin's newer coasters. but I also do not have an issue with these. These Heartline rolls were also involved in an infamous incident back in 2022. During the ride's first test, the water dummies were not properly secured, so a few were actually thrown from the train during the Heartline rolls. Others were dangling from the train. It was quite the sight. I included a link to this down in the description. After those 4 consecutive Heartline rolls, there's another tame turn. Then, you have the final inversion, which is the 5th Heartline roll. Unlike the prior 4 that rotated clockwise, this one rotates you counterclockwise, which throws you off. Then for forces, it feels similar to the prior ones. It is another spot with phenomenal hang time. You then zip indoors and come to a stop in the station, ending the 2,871 foot or 875 meter long experience. In terms of pacing, this coaster does a really good job. You fly through the layout. The only chance is to catch your breath at the bunny hill and the turns, but all of the inversions deliver, and that is a majority of the layout. So what would I rate Sick? I would give this coaster an 8 out of 10. This is a very good looping coaster. It has quantity and quality. All the inversions are decent at minimum, but a good chunk of them are great, with the final 5 Heartline rolls in particular standing out for their absurdity. It would have been nice if there was some airtime sprinkled in, but the inversions are understandably the focus, and they are more than enough to carry the experience. This is definitely my favorite ride at Flamingo Land. The ride experience I described should be identical to the other new generation Intamin 10 inversion coasters. I can attest that Altair Chinichita World felt identical. I just prefer Sick because of the energetic station, and it normally is even better with the misters when they're active. Then I definitely prefer Sick to the UK's very own Colossus, mainly because of the lap bars. These really help the experience. Those are my thoughts on Sick at Flamingo Land. What are your thoughts on this coaster? Do you agree it's the park's best ride? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.